This is a video on the solutions for the assessment task 1, which we did earlier in the year on financial mathematics and measurement. The point of this video is to help with revision for the Year 10 half-yearly exam that's coming up in only a few days' time, so hopefully this will be helpful. So going into the first section with financial maths, start with the first question. We have a clothing store buys ties for $20 each and then sells them for $35. State whether the store is making a profit or loss, and also hence find the profit loss percentage for these ties. So let's just unpack it here. So we see that they're buying it for $20 each, so that's the cost price, and they're selling it for $35 per tie, so that's the cost price. So what we want to do first of all is state whether they're making a profit or loss. Okay, so obviously they're making a profit. In fact, they're making a $15 profit, because we'll just do 35 minus 20 equals $15, and because that's a positive number, because profit or loss is selling price minus the cost price. So if that was a negative number, that means we're making a loss. Here we're selling it for more than we bought it for, so making a profit. And then the question's also asking me to find the profit or loss percentage. So what that means is we're going to get the profit, so that's 15, divided by the cost price, and that's important. We're dividing it by the amount that we're buying it for, which is 20. We're going to times that by 100, always timesing it by 100 because we're making it a percentage, and that will equal 75%. So what that means is we're making 75% profit per tie we sell. So as you see, it's 2 marks, 1 mark for finding the profit, 1 mark for actually finding the percentage. So going next, the question is saying we have this person's earning a retainer plus 4.5% commission on whatever he sells. And then this month of February, he sold $76,000. So straight away, we've got the retainer, and then we have 4.5% of that amount. Basically what we're going to do is going to add them up. So let's first of all find that percentage. So we've got 4.5 over 100, timesing it by 76,000, which equals $3,420. And now that we've done that, that's not the whole answer, because we're seeing that that's just the commission part that also earned in the retainer. So therefore, it's going to be $1,020 plus $3,420, which equals $4,440. And you see that's only 1 mark, so basically you needed to get that answer. Of course, we want to be showing our working as we go through it as well. Cars generally depreciate at the rate of 15% per year. If I were to buy a car today valued at $29,190, approximately how much to the nearest dollar would it be worth in 8 years? So that's the initial price. We've got 15% per year, 8 years. We're talking about depreciation. So when we're talking about depreciation, as we know, it's basically compound interest, except with a minus instead of the bracket instead of a plus, because it's going down in value. Basically, if it's going down in value, it's minus. If it's going up in value, like an investment or something, it is a plus. So here, we'll get the value. So we can call that V or A. It doesn't really matter what letter we use. Equals $29,990. 1 minus, so 15% per year, so 15 over 100 to the power of 8. By the way, I am assuming that this is compounding annually, but that's generally what happens with depreciation anyway. It's like an annual rate. If it did say it was compounding half yearly, of course I would need to change that to 7.5% and then 16 half years, which we'll get to in a bit. So now we're just going to put that into our calculator. So I'm just actually putting that into my calculator as I'm going along. So this eventually gives me $8,172. The reason why we're rounding to the nearest whole is because it's to the nearest dollar. Anyway, so again, we see that's only 1 mark, so basically we're looking for that answer. Looking at the next page, Sharon works a target and earns a wage of $24 per hour, working $40 per week. So we want to find Sharon's annual income. So we have per hour, 40 hours per week. So we are going to do 24 times 40, except we're going to have to do one other thing. That's only for 1 week. We're trying to find the annual income. So we're going to have to times it by 52 as well, because there's 52 weeks in a year. So we do 24 times 40 times 52, which equals $49,920. So that's how much the person's earning per year. If you didn't times it by that 52, you would have only gotten 24 times 40, which is $960, and that doesn't sound right. It's not like you're going to earn $960 for a whole year. I mean, that's not very practical at all. So make sure that's just a quick way that you can check to see if you're right. Now the next question is saying, well, using that number, what we want to do now is calculate the amount of tax, and we're saying that we're assuming that Sharon had no tax deductions, all right? So basically we're using that number, $49,920. So that falls us into this tax bracket here, and in this tax bracket, what it's saying is we're going to find everything over $37,000. So let's start off with that. So we have $49,920 minus $37,000, which equals $12,920. Hopefully, I'll just put that in my calculator very quickly. Yep, which is that. But that's not the tax. What the thing is saying is it's 3.25 cents to basically 32.5% of that amount. So 32.5 over 100 times $12,920, which equals $4,199. And then lastly, what the rule says is it's this amount plus that amount. So lastly, we're going to do $3,572 plus $4,199, which would give me in total $7,771. So that means this person's paying $7,771 in tax. Alright, so going to the next question, we're also told that find the amount she would have to pay in the Medicare levy. Well, the Medicare levy is 1.5% of that taxable income, so we'll just go back to that number earlier, that's $49,920. We're going to find 1.5% of that. It's a very simple question, it just looks a bit weird because it's written in a different way. That's the exact same thing. So $49,920 times 1.5%, which gives me $748.80. Now it doesn't say, there's no like part D asking well how much tax did they pay in total, like how much like they need to give to the government. But if it did, what we would do is we would just get that previous answer, $7,771, add it to the Medicare levy, and that's how much this person's paying in tax in total. Alright, next we have Jacob puts $5,700 into an investment account at this rate for monthly. Alright? And that's important. As I've said in the past, the most important two words in this whole question is that, because that changes everything. If I just do 3.6 over 100 and then to the power of 5, I'm not going to get the right answer. So, what we're going to do here is we have A equals $5,700 to the power 1 plus, we're going to do 3.6 divided by 12, which is 0.3. The reason why we're dividing it by 12 is because this is 3.6% per annum, but we're compounding monthly. So that's for the whole year. To find for a month, we're going to have to divide by 12, which is 0.3. And then here is going to be a power of 60. Because it's 5 years, but 5 years is 60 months. We just do 5 times 60. So once we put that into our calculator, we'll get $5,700 times 1 plus 0.3 over 100 to the power of 60, which gives me $6,822.30. But that's not the end of the question though. The question is how much interest would earn. Alright, so we're not trying to find the total amount at the end. What we're trying to do is see how much it actually grow by. So that means we're going to have to take that number we just found and subtract it by the principal, which is 5,700. So therefore, $6,822.30 minus $5,700, which equals $1,122.30. So make sure we're reading the question carefully, alright? So it's the amount of interest, right? If I'm saying like which one is the most important question, like a part of the question, that's also probably the most important part of the question because it's telling us exactly what we need to find. We're not trying to find the total amount, we're trying to find the amount of interest. Going on to the next page. So Nadia bought a TV for that much amount of money. There was a 20% deposit and then the monthly repayments. So first of all, we need to find the amount the deposit was. So that's just 20% of 1,700, which gives me $340. So that means when Nadia bought this TV, she gave whoever it was, like JB Hi-Fi or whatever, $340, but still needed to pay off a little bit more. Hence, find the total amount Nadia paid for the TV. Well, we're saying it's like that $340 plus. We're also told that they made monthly repayments of $90 for 2 years. So 2 years, that's 24 months. So that's 24 monthly repayments. We're going to do 24 times $90. Right, because we've made those monthly repayments. So when we do that, that's 340 plus 24 times 90, which equals $2,500. So lastly, we need to find the amount of interest charged on the TV. Well, it's actually a fairly simple question. The TV originally cost $1,700. We ended up paying $2,500. So that means the difference is the interest. So 2,500 minus 1,700, which equals $800. That means we paid $800 extra on top of the amount. Yep. So, going on to this next question, last one for financial maths. Paul's interest payment on his loan totaled to be this amount. He chose a simple interest rate of 5% per annum. The loan had a life of 60 months. Keyword there, months. What amount did he originally borrow? So basically, this is a simple interest question except in reverse. Because we're told that the interest was that. We're told that the annual rate was 5%. And we're told the amount of months was 60. So as we saw in the previous question, that's actually n equals 5. Alright, because that's 5 years. We want to make sure that the interest rate, so 5% per annum, and the amount of time, so this time 60 months, that means we want to make it 5 years. We're going to say how much we borrowed originally, so we're trying to find the principal. So what we do here to find the principal, this is reverse simple interest, so rather than multiplying, we divide. Basically, we say P equals $1,875 divided by 5 over 100 divided by 5. And when you put that into your calculator, which gives me $7,500. So what we're saying here is, how much money did I need to put in now? So in 5 years at 5% per annum, I would get an interest of $1,875. Yep. So going into the next question, the next section, is measurement. And here we start off with a few conversion questions. So we want to change 3.2 kilometers into millimeters. Well, we can't just jump from kilometers to millimeters straight away. What we're going to need to do first is change those kilometers into meters. So we're going to times that by 1,000. But that's got it in meters. So that means we're now going to need to change that to centimeters. So we're going to times that by 100. but that's only in centimeters. We want to change it to millimeters, so we then need to change it times it by 10 as well, because we're changing from kilometers into meters, into centimeters, into millimeters. So this is 3.2 times 1,000 times 100 times 10, which gives me this number, so basically 5 zeros. So if we look at that number, that's 3,200,000. And going into this question, we have 6,300 centimeters squared, and we want to change it into meters squared. And what we need to make sure we're not going to do is divide by 100. Okay, these units are squared. So see the squared, see the squared. That means our conversion also needs to be squared. So we know that there's 100 centimeters in a meter. That means we're going to do 6,300 divided by 100 squared. Again, because we talk about squared units. So we're going to do 6,300 divided by 100 squared, which equals 0.63 meters squared. Alright, the key thing here is, yes, we know that centimeters into meters is 100, but we're talking about centimeters squared into meters squared, so we had to do 100 squared. Going to the next page, we want to find the perimeter of this sector corrected 2 decimal places. So the perimeter of this sector means we're going to have to add up all the sides. So obviously that's 4.5, that's 4.5. We just need to find the arc length. So how about I call that A for arc. So we're going to say that A equals 120 over 360 times 2 times pi times the radius, which is 4.5. If you're wondering where I got that formula from, that is going to be on the formula sheet. But it's just the arc length formula, theta being, like you do theta over 360, where theta is the angle that's being created. So we have basically 2, so we'll put this into our calculator. So that gives me 9.4247 ... And remember I talked about, and trying to make this very clear, we do not want to round until we get to the end of the question. Yeah, we've got to round to 2 decimal places, but how about we do that at the end of the question? So therefore, the whole thing is a perimeter. If you just wrote that as your answer, you've only found that arc length. We also need to add 2 lots of 4.5. So therefore, the perimeter equals 9.4247 ... Again, it's not rounding until the end. Plus 4.5 plus 4.5, which equals 18.4247, blah, blah, blah. Now that we're going to the end of the question, this is where we can round. So 18.42. And also note that the units are in centimeters, so we should write that as well. Okay. Next question is we need to find the area of this composite shape, corrected 2 decimal places. So what we have here is we have a semicircle on top and a trapezium on the bottom. And we see that they're kind of glued together, and remember we've talked about whenever they're glued together, we add them. If they were cut out, we subtract. But here they're glued. So let's find this area of the semicircle first of all. So I'm going to call that a semi, so area of the semicircle. And this is going to be, we have the angle in there, as we know a straight line is 180 degrees. So 180 over 360 times pi times the radius squared. Now don't go ahead thinking that the radius is 12, that's the diameter. So we need to do 6 squared, which equals, so give me a sec. So this gives me approximately 56.548 ... Again, do not round until the very end of the question. Now on the bottom, we have a trapezium, and we know that the area of the trapezium formula is half times the height. Here the height of the trapezium is 6.4 times, and then in brackets we need to do the short side, so 7.9 plus the long side, which is 12. Doesn't really matter what order you do in the brackets, but I'm just going to do it that way. And so this is, put it into the calculator. So 63.68. Now, we have these two numbers. Hopefully you've saved that number into your calculator. If you don't remember how to save that number into your calculator, ask me. But, I mean, annoyingly, I didn't. So I'm going to have to quickly just do that again. So I have that number in my calculator. And now I'm going to add that to 63.68. So therefore, the total area, once we add them together, is going to be, and this is again where we can round now, 120.23 centimeters squared. Again, we're talking about area, so it's centimeters squared, and now I'm at the end of the question, so this is when I can round. Here we want to, looking at question 11, we want to find the total surface area of the following prism. So here we have a rectangular prism, and to find the surface area of a rectangular prism, basically you have 6 rectangles, except they're in pairs. So really you just need to find the area of 3 rectangles and times them all by 2. So let's just do, so the area of the front, well, that's going to be the 7 times 3 because you've got that long side at the front and then the 3 going up. So 7 times 3 equals 21. We have the area of the right. So that's going to be that 9 and the 3, so 9 times 3, which equals 27. And lastly, we're also going to find the area of the bottom, which is going to be 9 times 7, which equals 63. Now what we're not going to do is just add those together, because we need to realize that there's a front and back, and they're the same. The right and left are the same, the bottom and top are the same. So we're going to need to multiply them all by 2. So therefore the surface area is going to be 21 times 2 plus 27 times 2 plus 63 times 2. Oops, 2. Which equals 222 meters squared. I'll just double check that. Yes, 222 meters squared. Again, this is surface area, so therefore it's meters squared and 222. Don't get tricked into thinking because it's a 3D shape, therefore it needs to be meters cubed. You're right, it is a 3D shape, but we're not trying to find a 3D measurement. We're trying to find a 2D measurement on the 3D shape. Anyway, going to this last page here. So we have a pie dish is in the shape of a cylinder with a closed bottom and an open top. So basically, it's like half open, half closed. The diameter of the dish is 26 centimeters and the height is 11 centimeters. In the space below, draw a diagram. So let's go ahead and draw this diagram first of all. So remember, to draw a cylinder, just basically do that and then kind of like an oval on the top. So the height is 11 centimeters. We're told that the diameter, so I guess we could do that, is 26 centimeters. So next, the surface. We want to find the surface area of the pie dish correct to 2 decimal places. So this is going to be kind of a modified form of the surface area of a prism, a cylinder formula. The surface area of a cylinder is 2 times pi times the radius squared plus 2 times pi times r times h. That's on the formula sheet. But that's assuming that you have a closed cylinder. So there's a circle on the top and the bottom. This time we only have half a cylinder, so half only, it's going to be half open, so therefore we only have 1 circle. So basically our surface area is just going to be pi times the radius squared plus 2 times pi times r times h. So the difference between the two, so if it was a closed cylinder, we would have a 2 there because we have 2 circles. But this time we don't. And of course, if it was an open cylinder, then we get rid of that completely. And then it would just be 2 pi r h. But, there is a circle there, so we've got to have 1 lot of pi r squared. So going from there, let's now basically substitute our numbers into this formula that we've gone and created. So this is, and I'm just going to put it in brackets just to make it a bit cleaner. Pi times, now don't say that the radius is 26, the radius is 13. We're told that the diameter is 26. So pi times 13 squared plus 2 times pi times 13 times 11, which equals, and again, just put this into my calculator. Which equals 1,429, and here we're doing 2 decimal places, so 0.42 and centimeters squared. Don't forget the units, don't forget to round at the end of the question. Next, we want to find the volume of the pie dish. So this is now where we're going to talk about centimeters cubed. And the volume for any prism is just the area times the height. So in this case, the volume is going to be pi r squared times the height. Okay, so this will be pi times 13 squared times 11, which equals 5,840.22 centimeters cubed. Again, 2 decimal places, and its volume, so it's centimeters cubed. Hence, we want to find the amount of water in litres this pie dish can hold if it's full. Now, just be careful, it is saying in litres. So first of all, what we do is we can convert between centimetres cubed to millilitres. The way that we do that is they're the same. So the capacity equals 5,840.22 millilitres. The question's not asking for millilitres, it wants litres. So what we're going to have to do now is we're going to have to divide it by 1,000, because there are 1,000 millilitres in a litre. So we'll just divide that by 1,000, which gives us about 5.84 litres. Okay, I've just done a bit of rounding there, but it doesn't particularly matter. The question didn't stipulate what we need to round it to, so I just did that. Now lastly, what we want to do here for this final question is a cube has a volume of 216 centimeters cubed. What is the length of each of its sides? Well, basically what we have here is the volume of a cube is just V equals S cubed. Alright, so basically if we had a cube, we're just going to get the side times by another side times by the other side, but because it's a cube, they're all going to be the same, so we just cube it. Hence why we call it cube, by the way. In this case, we're saying that 216 equals S cubed. So what we want to do is do the opposite of cubed, which is we want to do the cube root. So therefore, S equals the cube root of 216, which equals, I believe it's 8, but let me just check, or 6, sorry. Where's my cube root one? Right. Which equals 6. And also making sure, once again, we write centimeters because it was centimeters cubed. So what we're doing here is a bit of a different question, just realizing that cube means like the volume of a cube is just the side times the side times the side. So you're asking yourself, well, what number can I multiply it by itself and then itself again to eventually get 216, which is 6. Anyway, so this is the end of the test. Hopefully this video has been useful. And if you have any further questions or any requests for videos, please feel free to ask. Anyway, good luck with your exams.